Hello and welcome to another podcast episode of the Robin Halston Experience. I'm the host, Robin Halston, and today I'm very excited about my guest who has been on my guest. He was one of the first guests back in the day, back in 2016 when I started and I called it biography. Uh, I'm welcoming back Michael van den Bossche, also known as MVDB, the Leo Mystic.
Well,
Right now he's working a lot with astrology. He's a kundalini yoga teacher. He has something called the round table for conscious leaders out there in the world. He's a motivational speaker, a coach. There's so much strings on your guitar, Michael. I don't know where to end this, but welcome, and I'm really happy to see you again. I think the last time we've been speaking like on calls, but the last time we saw each other in the flesh was 3 years ago when you were visiting me here in Sweden. Welcome
yeah,
back to the show.
man, thank you so much. We were taking a moment of silence before this, before we started recording, and I just, got taken back to to 3 years ago, and I have a whole lot of love for you, man. Like it's just the moments of laughter we had, and even we just met three times in the flesh, maybe just two times.
Mm.
At the experience with the London, we didn't really connect there, I think, but I think with Elliot Hulse's experience then in Amsterdam,
Mm.
and then with Kai Pacha, obviously, and you were mentioning astrology, and it's because of you that I'm into astrology, so it's
Mm.
fucking cool.
Yeah, it's we just also talked about that, like it's been such a change, and I've been writing that down in my questions as well, like talking about your Saturn return and what that meant for you. Maybe we can dive into that more in this episode as well. But like that was around, when we did that thing 3 years ago. We went to Gdansk in Poland, and then went outside of there and to do close to Lipia Góra or something. I don't know, somewhere in Poland in the countryside. We did a workshop with Kai Pacha for a weekend around masculine and feminine. And it was also your 30th birthday, and I still have the video of you when you're having your speech.
Oh,
Uh,
really? I forgot
it's
that.
so fun to look back
By
at.
the way, best birthday ever still.
Great.
Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really.
And I'm happy that we meet people along the way that guides us through to other stuff. And I think I put you on, nudge you on the way to Kai Pacha, and you also an evolutionary astrology, but you also was like a beacon for me. Like I think it was 5 or 4 years ago when we first connected. I helped you when you were, I think you started, you started coaching me after I read your book or something. And yeah, it's nice to cross paths once again. And yeah, let's dive into that first. Like, yeah, the grounding camp that we were in Amsterdam 2016. What has happened in those 4 years?
Man, what hasn't happened? Fuck. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where to start, but I think the main thing, and we were talking about it just before too, is it has led up to now, I think the Saturn return, that you talked about, which means, after, for people that don't know that, after about 29 years, the planet of karma and the planet of your duties and your responsibilities, makes a turn around the zodiac and hits when you were born, that Saturn. And that means Saturn comes along and says, well, Mr. Michael, have you been doing what you should be doing? And if not, we're going to realign your life. And I think it kind of drastically, I know that we're going to talk about it later, but it drastically changed my life and shifted it. And what I want to say about that is that, since 2016, I went through a period of rigidness, of, just wanting to get my goals and be in business and use the hustle and all that. But if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And, by far am I the ultimate version of what I, or what a person could be or something. But what I do think it brought with is a softness, an easiness, and a balance. And it made me, I had to go to the extra mile so that I could come back to center and bring my gifts to the people. And I feel with the astrological tool that I'm developing right now is really going to help people do the same. Be more intuitive, be more soft, be more going with the cycles of nature. I think that's the most important thing that happened since then.
Mm.
Mm.
And for you, because I hit on a lot of I get a lot of resistance from people when when I start to talk about astrology. People think it's bullshit, and when the deeper you go into the rabbit hole of astrology, you're like, it's so much richness to it. And how would you describe astrology for somebody that doesn't has been in that field, or what could you say about astrology that has helped you so much?
Well, I think first and foremost, astrology is just another language. It's nothing more than that. There's nothing special to it. There's so much specialness to it, but there's nothing special to it. It's just a language that tells you about our life. And you can do that through cosmology or physics or biology or psychology, whatever. It's just another language that tells us about the current energy that is there. And then we could start discussing, is energy something, So it always requires a certain level of readiness, a certain level of, I think, awareness, if that's the right word, and just open-mindedness, and curiosity to explore, like, well, what is there to life? Well, what is there to, and I would be the first to say you don't need astrology. Honestly, I think what we do need is to trust more in ourselves and to make a decision for ourselves and not be dependent on things like gurus or astrology or psychology or science, right? They all are super important, but the most important thing is that, and I think that's what we're being thrown on right now with all the whole COVID-19 thing, and what is true, what is not true, is the government lying, is there an elite, is there whatever, it's just like, whoa, wait on, is there so much information out there right now that you have no other way than to fall back on your own intuitive system and to make an adult decision for yourself. So that's, I think, what astrology taught me, that I don't need it, but that it's a freaking amazing tool that tells me about life, the existence of life, about cycles, that you don't need to always be on, but that there's a, on-off thing going on, day, night, dark, lights, and just, it's a beautiful thing. That's all.
Yeah. And I would like to add, like what Kaipacha is always talking about in his videos: become your own astrologer, become like get to know your chart yourself, and as I see it, like it's a kind of, it's also a lot of math, and just like seeing how cycles, how when this planet was in this year and what happened, and now it's in the same sign, and all of that, and see how it reoccurs stuff in that kind of way. And it's sometimes it's for me, as I see astrology, is not, you cannot see like every wave that comes, but you can see kind of like the general climate and not the weather for the day maybe. But you do the heaven on earth daily forecast as well, which is nice to see. but it was so funny for me. Like the other week, I had like an ex reach out for me that I haven't spoken to like in 4 years, and then it was like, and then I looked up like, I've heard something about Venus retrograde, and it was like it was the day before Venus retrograde came in motion. It's like, because Venus is the planet of love, and
Yeah, yeah,
retrograde is when we go back and reflect, or
yeah.
old stuff comes up and surfaces. So it's like, aha, this is very, very interesting and very fitting for the time being. And whenever we're going through something maybe hard, especially something hard or challenging, it can be a refreshing way to look at like, oh, okay, so like now I'm like approaching my Saturn return in 1.5 years now. You know, I'm turning
Mhm.
29 next year, and to see like, okay, what's going to happen when Saturn comes to my degree of Aquarius, you know,
Are you
to
ready for
embrace myself a little bit,
it? Yeah.
to see what happens.
Wrap yourself in blankets. Make sure there's like a big, you know, rocks around you. Put
Yes.
your guns. No,
Yeah. No, but that could be the shadow side of astrology, because like I know when we last saw each other in person, I was quite I was a bit lost, and I found myself like looking at every astrology video to get like, oh, what should I do? What is the right thing to do? Just, you know, looking for other people to give
yeah.
me answers on what I should be doing, instead of just listening to my own heart and my own intuition,
Mm.
and being just confused on what step should I take, because it feels like I'm so wrong right now. But you know, out of that confusion, like as you said as well, like what you went through, like you had to go to this extreme, there will become clarity, and we have to have that confusion sometimes to come into that, you know, to that balance point, and
Yeah.
witness those contrasts.
Amen.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also excited. I'm actually thinking of joining your upcoming kundalini yoga. You're gonna have it online, right?
Yes, sir. So there will be 8 people here upstairs. We have I call it the sanctum,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a place where Charlotte, my wife, future wife, she's an artist, and she paints there. But I also, you know, I'm going to teach my Kundalini, you know, classes there. I do my astrological readings there, and so 8 people live there, and then also on Zoom, obviously the Kundalini yoga classes at the
Mm.
same time. Yes.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. And I guess, was that also Kai Pacha who got you into the like, because we did kundalini yoga at the retreat that we did. Can you tell me something? Because I've been seeing on your Instagram that you're like day 880 something in a row with your kundalini yoga. Can you can you tell us a little bit of why it's so powerful for you, and what does it do for you?
Yeah. So I actually started with Kundalini, not Kundalini yoga, but Kundalini from Osho 10 years ago, exactly to the day almost now.
Mm,
Um, but then I kind of like went into this whole silent meditation, sitting meditation of 6 years almost, and then I discovered it through Kai Pacha, and obviously, you know, we going there, and it just had a. I remember it having a major impact on all of us. The Kundalini yoga. It was only 30 minutes in the morning that we did, but just so much, you know, depth. We, you know, I see Kundalini yoga, but maybe any spiritual practice or meditation yoga, it helps you as long as you're consistent, but still open enough to go with the changes and do some adaptations. That's important. Then it creates space, and it allows you to, if you do it in the morning, to go and sit on top of a mountain, you know, metaphorically speaking, and it gives you an overview of the day to come, in a sense, and it allows you to make more conscious decisions, because if you choose to get up in the morning and do Kundalini yoga or any form of meditation, you're showing your body to not be prone to external stimuli.
Mm.
and you're actually taking control over, uh, well, it's actually not taking control, but taking control over your decisions, right? And so at the same time, it is also releasing control so that you can go with the flow of that day, because you have so much overview, you have so much space that whatever comes on your path, you're like, oh, hey, this seems very cool. You know, it's like being on top of that mountain and there's someone approaching you and it's like, wait, should I go talk to that person? Nah, maybe not. Or like there's someone else coming and it's like, ooh, that is about to be interesting, and you get to choose that, you know.
Mm.
And that's how it feels like. It's or whatever change comes on your path, you're like, okay, maybe this is not a good experience, but you I think for me it does, it makes me more neutral in a way, but at the same time, when I choose to get into an experience, I feel it way more and I can allow myself to experience it, whether that be fear or sadness or joy and laughter. It's just, you know, I think that's what it does. It creates space. You can allow things more to come your way. And also, you know, yes, I'm in day 883 now. Tomorrow is 884. But the reason I did it was, and it's actually because of Kaipacha, right? I was like, whoa! And I bought the book by Snatam Kaur, The Morning Lights. And the 28th of December 2017, I made a firm decision. I said, I'm gonna do this for 1,000 days, because it
Mm.
said it in the book, like if you can do it for 1,000 days, that's when you master the whole practice. I'm like, yes. And that day I made that decision, and I'm almost there. And the changes at the same time, the stability, uh, because kundalini yoga, you know, also sometimes, not always, you push your limits a little bit and your mind comes in and says, oh, maybe we should do a minute less. But the whole purpose of doing 3 minutes, for instance, instead of 2, or 31 instead of 11, is that you get to listen to that voice, but at the same time say, you know what, voice, I'm not going to listen to you.
Mm.
And if you show yourself that over and over and over again, your challenges in life, they're going to be like, okay, so, you know, there's less money in my bank right now, but I'm, you know, yes, there's a fear in me speaking. Okay, but I'm okay. You know what? And it's just like you get to sit more in your pain, because you're neutral and you don't become a victim of the pain. You
Mm.
can let the pain pass, and then you're like, okay, pain's over. Now, oh, all of a sudden, new opportunity, boom, money, 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 money. And it's like, yes, you can, there's so much stability, neutrality, more depth of experience. And the benefits of kundalini yoga in and of itself is your nervous system become more stronger. You know, your endocrine system is being pumped. Your organs are being pumped because of the way we do the breathing exercises. Your blood is being circulated and cleansed, and you become more disease resistant because of it. Like, I haven't had a disease in many, many years almost now. Maybe sometimes, like when I came back from Guatemala, this actually in January, I did become a little bit of ill. Um, so, but you know, it's just like you're so much stronger, centered, focused.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just the benefits are endless. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those who haven't done, I haven't done that much myself, but like the Kundalini yoga that I've been doing is not your, you know, regular Ashtanga or power yoga. It's like a lot of like repetitive, like a lot of breathing, a lot of like shaking, a lot of making weird noises and sounds and doing mantras. And like for somebody who's not in the spiritual spheres, like, man, this is fucking mental. Like, what is this? But like it's so, you know, based on so many ancient principles in a way. And but I don't know that much about it, to be honest, but I
But how is it different for you in terms of, because I know that you're like you've been teaching yoga. Is it Ashtanga or is it Hatha that you do?
It's been mostly Ashtanga based that I've been doing, but I've been also mixing. And I have never done a teacher training in Ashtanga. I've done it in trauma sensitive yoga, which is something completely different. And I wouldn't say that I'm like full-blooded teacher in that way, even though I've been holding a lot of classes. Like I feel like there's so much more for me to learn when it comes to the tradition, and maybe going to India and do stuff like that, because the trauma sensitive yoga thing was more like a westernized course where I learned a lot of stuff. But it's so much like, yeah, you say it's more mind challenging for me to do kundalini yoga, especially the thing that I've been doing when I've been on Kai Pacha's retreats, because it's like just it's doing like stuff like
Yeah.
this, or like
Yeah.
just like doing it's exhausting and you just want to stop, but it's like, yeah, you got to do this for this amount of minutes. And it's for me, when what you're talking about is also this kind of if you do anything like that has with exercise, or like I do a lot of running these days.
Yeah.
And if you do something like that on a fasted stomach, or if you fast, and if you like for me, it's also like this kind of cleaning out the pipes before starting your day fresh,
Yeah.
in a way, and to make space for the magic that happens in a day, or as you say, make space to have space to hold bullshit as well, and to
Exactly.
be able to transmute that and alchemize everything that happens, whether this is an opportunity or an obstacle.
Yep. Yeah. Big time.
So yeah, so I'm actually thinking of like, it would be nice to start, and it would be cool maybe to jump on your class when you start online. It could be a good thing.
Would love to have you,
But
man.
one thing that I'm also like, is so interesting as well. Before we started the interview as well, you talked a little bit about the rigidity, and could you ever imagine yourself, if you look back like at that 3 years ago, could you seen yourself where you're at right now, uh, and the progression you made today, like the person you are today? What's your like projections like 3 years ago, when you were more into the natural warrior tribe kind of thing, and building that more there? Because it's funny to see that you changed like your MBDB to the Leo Mystic. It's like a different version, a 2.0 of Michael.
Yeah. Well, actually, I remember the whole point that triggered it was I started video coaching people, and I because of that, I was able to observe what was going on online and Instagram and all those things. And I was like, what is going on with the world? It's just like there's no authenticity, and it made me angry, made me sad, and it was just, I think, your world, what you see is just a reflection of your inner world. And it was time for me to, stop everything that I was doing. And I actually, for 6 months, or 4 to 6 months, I can't remember, until January, from September, somewhere around that. I did nothing, and I really listened to myself, and there was like, you should embrace more the spiritual side. You should embrace more, the cosmology, the yoga, the astrology. And I was like, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And but because there, what I just said about kundalini yoga and what it does to you, creating more space, there I was still in the what I would say, the hustle mode, and like, I'm going to get my goals. But it was very necessary that I went there because of the whole warrior thing, because it made me, it helped me survive. It helped me create a space. These archetypes are very necessary, and I think it was a kind of initiation too. But because I just had the whole context too. I just had a whole tropical disease too in 2014, where I was unable to eat certain foods, and I had insomnia and all those things. So there was just so much going on that I was just fighting against everything, you know.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think we all go through these cycles. We all go through a cycle of warriorness, of loverness, of kingness, and of magicianness, and
Yeah.
so many other types, right? If we talk about king, warrior, magician, lover.
Mm.
I don't know if that's an answer to your question, actually, but
I don't know either. I almost forgot what my question was, but yeah, it's
yeah.
but it's I love the idea that I think a lot of, like, for men, like the male archetypes here that you were talking about, the Robert Moore book,
Yeah.
the Four Archetypes is a beautiful book that kind of demonstrates what you were just into. If you want to go more into detail with that, for you who listens to this or watching this, um, and I see that the 20s for a man is all about being in the warrior, being
Yeah.
like doing like challenges, going for your goals, like just and for me, I've been seeing, when I was in my early 20s, I was very, anxious, or very, this wanting to become something or do something of value, and show myself and of my worthiness. And I looked at like people that has been, maybe was much older than me, that was way ahead of the curve, and like, oh, I should be like him, I should have, being famous, or all this kind of bullshit in
Yeah.
my head. And now I've softened more as well in my 20s, and realized, that the 20s is there for us to, dive into and try to find out what we want to do. I don't think that you should settle down in your 20s with something. Maybe if you really find something that you really like, but
Mhm.
I think the maturity that comes with age, and I think when Saturn, Lord of Karma, comes back to when you were born, is a good milestone to really realign and readjust, and like, okay, what have I been doing the last 29 and a half years, and where should I, align myself the next 30 years in this cycle.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You reminded me of something in the sense of, I think, especially guys in their 20s, they're looking for who is going to be, the role model for
Yes.
me, that I can really put my whatever, like inject my penis in the world, in a sense, but and to impregnate Mother Earth in that sense.
Yeah.
But there's no guidance for men.
Mm.
There's starting to be, obviously, right now, but I feel there was very little, or there is still very little guidance, or for men in their 20s, like, what should I be doing? Like, all these questions that we ask ourselves: who are we? Why are we here? What can we do? What can I do? What is this that I'm feeling within me? What about women? What about porn? What about all this stuff?
Mm.
And it's if you don't have that guidance, it is potentially for guys who grew up in this culture. It is a lost world, in that sense.
Mm.
If you don't realize what the beauty is, then you can only see what you've grown up in. And what we've grown up in, uh on the contrary, is what they make you believe. It's almost a fucked up world if you look at from that perspective. But
Mm.
from our perspective right now, we can look back and see, wow, it's beautiful, and there's so much more behind this physical, material world. But you get, I think that's the initiation that we were talking about.
Yeah.
You have to go through that.
Yeah, and talking about role models and mentors, that's how we met. We met through Elliot Hall's, like, I found you in a group, in one of Elliot Hall's like subgroup, like somehow, I don't know how it was, and that's why I want to do this podcast. I want to share my story, and I'm still in my 20s, and I want to also link people to people that I've been looking into. I've been realizing the last couple of years that I predominantly listen to podcasts that has male hosts, like Paul Chek, Aubrey Marcus, JP Sears, Tim Ferriss, you know, Joe Rogan. And I just realized that it's like kind of it's like this tribal feeling of wanting to have a campfire and sitting with an elder, because we don't have that. And what I realized with all of these people that I follow on podcasts is that they are 10, 20, 30 years older than me and have a lot of knowledge and sit on a lot of knowledge and wisdom and medicine for, as you say, for young men to learn and to adopt, because like the narrative that you see in mainstream media is quite crap. Like you see, I just saw like Tekashi 6ix9ine's newest hip hop video that just like blew the YouTube up, and it's just like 6 women twerking with like this big butts, and he's like just like got all the colors in the hair and like the derogative like lyrics and in the song. And you know, why is this getting that much attention? Like what the fuck is wrong with, as you say, like it's a interesting culture to be in these times. It's a lot of information everywhere, and the thing that makes most noise, or the thing that creates most controversy, is what wins.
Yeah, it just shows that we're being controlled by lizard people.
I don't know about that, but but it's
this whole conspiracy theory, you know. And if you look at David Icke, for instance, that the Anunnaki, you know, came down to Earth. I don't remember, like 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, and that there was they came from, was it the constellation Draco, or anyway, and from outer space, aliens came down here and control the whole planet. I don't know, man. It's very possible, but it's also possibly very fucked up. But anyway, yeah, that's what it could be. Anyway.
Yeah, that's so funny with the whole London Real thing and David Icke thing as well, like the censorship, and I've also seen you being very speaking out about that, and I've been also like, why is things getting censored? That's also fucked up. But for me, like with I think of an astrology analogy with this is kind of the Gemini Sagittarius axis, that we're kind of like in this Gemini culture of like, oh, we'll get the most clicks, gossip, blah 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 blah, Kim Kardashian, blah. And what we really crave in this day and age is the Sagittarian, like the deeper truth and meaning of life, and will really sustain ourselves, and not just like living in a plastic reality that a lot of people are like in a virtual reality, and not living, you know, aligned to the law of nature, you know.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, you I've been seeing you spoke something about the truth around this London Real episode, and I've been also, I don't know what the fuck is up with the COVID thing, and I've been not scared at all about getting sick of it, and if for me it's felt like it's been very blown up out of proportions, and it's I don't know where I want to come with this, but it's been interesting to see. I saw that you did a video on the truth. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I know that there's a couple of things I want to say here. And the first thing being, when you are in this world, and there's a way you can get caught up in this world, and you can believe that fighting, you know, for your rights kind of matters. I do still believe that. And at the same time, I'm like, you know what? There's just, if we could just have faith and trust in that there's a divine orchestration, and if we realize that we are the creators of our own world, and that it starts with, you know, emitting basic love and forgiveness, You know, you are not part of that action reaction world. And so even though what we see is people fighting for truth, uh, but honestly, truth does never need to be defended or does never need to be fought for, because truth in and of itself is there always. Um, and so I I took a whole different approach towards it after a while. I was just like, oh, it's not honest for these people that they're being censored. And when you are looking at things from a whole different perspective, or just you take time, you don't watch the news, but you hear people saying things, it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, why would we all of a sudden have to be in a lockdown when there's people saying also that the tests are not, you know, working right, and that they are making the numbers up, and it's just like there's two sides to this, and just like what I was saying about, you have to you're thrown back on yourself and may have to make a decision for yourself. And so you can get caught up in the whole discussion about true, not true, true, not true, true, not true. But then I'm like, but that's not what it's about, you know. Just like step back and look at what is beautiful, what is capable, what is, you know. And then you learn that you can transcend all of that. It's weird, man, because we have access to so much information, but it's still your choice to go in that or not. And in this new world that we just entered, for me, truth is what you decide to focus on, you know, and what you decide to give energy. And so I could look up all the new conspiracy theories, and I could look up the whole details as well on the other side about the deaths and about what they've decided in terms of government and what it is all about. And but I'm just like, you know what? No, fuck this. You know, this is truly about uh, making your own world and emitting that into the world, and always focused on love and forgiveness, you know, and always obviously allowing and accepting whatever anger or fear comes in, to be there. But yeah, man, I think, what is your responsibility? What is your task? What can you do, instead of, you know, pointing the finger towards what is wrong and what is not? What can you do? What can you do? What is your decision going to be?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's also, I never before have I been, you know, I've been just on vacation here in Sweden doing road trips and visiting a lot of friends that lives in different places, and have never before has been like so much, you know, some people that I meet, they are so into like, this is a big conspiracy, this is not real, and it's just a big lie. And then also have friends that are like, I'm fucking afraid of dying of this. And never before I've been like, it's two different worlds and narratives depending on what media or what information you decide to digest. And as you say, like it's all about, you know, how, you know, what is true for me. Am I afraid of this? Am I gonna let this make me afraid? But like, I've been cautious, like with maybe not, you know, I've been not being cautious about myself that much, because I haven't been afraid, because I know with any kind of virus, if I work out, if I sleep right, if I eat right, you know, work out, sleep, and, you know, if I do the basics and take care of and eat real food, then my immune system will take care of it. I'm
Exactly.
most definitely sure about that. And I think that what I want to say as well, what was that? Is that yeah, it's also interesting what you say about like, what can I do, what can we do, and what can I do? Because if you look at I don't know if you heard about the George Floyd incident in the States that happened. Like it was another black man who was like suffocated by a cop, like getting hauled down and choked, and he died. Like I don't know what he was alleged to do, but it's like also this kind of, it's becoming this uproar and rioting of like, you know, the Black Lives Matter again. And what you
Okay.
see is also like people not you know come from this point of rage, and they start to, you know, just pillage and riot and destroy their neighborhoods and their cities, instead of like, you know, they just tear their own environment up, instead of, you know, choosing love and compassion, and for not, maybe not forgiveness is the right thing to do in that situation, but, you know, instead of like seeing how can we, you know, come together. And then you have this kind of hive mind that like just that wants to destroy and wants to get enraged, and um, instead of seeing like what is the highest perspective and vibration of me, and how can I make this world a better place, and focusing on the greatest version of what I can do to the world. I don't know if I went on a tangent there, but if you get my
Yeah, I mean, it's always what can you create? What are the basic truths of our existence? Well, we know that, you know, viruses have been around for thousands and millions and billions of years. You know, it's just like, okay, so now our immune system is strong enough, as you say. Okay, there are some people, obviously, if this is a true virus, okay, which we can go in there too and discuss, but you know, then it's just like they would have to pay attention to this, obviously, to and strengthen their immune system. But then still, these people that are being told that their immune system is low, there too we could go like, well, there are ways of bringing it up again. Look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, look at yoga, look at, you know, balancing your chakras, look at alternative therapies, blah blah blah, etc. There's so much information around that. So, but if you know the basics, if you're a normal human being, and you do like you say, do the right, eat the right foods, do some sports, breathing exercise, go outside, you know, and do something you love, wait, your immune system is always strong enough, always, you know. And so it's just like, then if you take care of that, what can you create? You know, what are you spending energy on? Your choices are your power, always. And what you choose to do is what you choose to give energy. So what are you spending energy on most of the time? Are you spending that energy on watching the news, having discussions with and on opinions, or are we taking time to look around, which is what I believe the whole reason this happened? You know, it's just like, okay, we've called it in. We've been wanting to say like, stop the fucking world,
yeah.
and it did. I never saw this coming. No one saw this coming. Like, fuck, like we really can't. It is possible. The impossible just became possible. And so when you then get to stop and look around, you know, I just heard my girlfriend told me that she knows people who work in restaurants and cafes and bars that are not open. They've not been open for 2-3 months now. They don't want to go back to doing the normal thing because they're like, fuck, how crazy were we working? People in hotels, restaurants, bars, they've been hustling like crazy, you know, making themselves sick. Why? Because the basic truth of life was being ignored. And that is just that, you know, if you smile to someone, it's very likely that if that's a person that doesn't have any grudges, and you know, that's a normal human being, is going to smile back and is going to feel good, you know. And if you eat something right, then you know you're going to respond well. And it's just like, it's life is actually so fucking simple, but we're being distracted by social media, by the shoulds and should nots, and so many things, the hatred, and you know, you're right, I am right. it's just like, fuck, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to add to that as well, like this kind of, you know, the division that can happen on social media, and also the what you're alluding to as well, is this um, kind of how do you say, it's kind of a dementia that we have, like we as humans has forgotten our natural essence, and living in urban environments, and living
Hmm.
too close to each other maybe, and living our lives through screens, like like we're doing right now, and not looking up and seeing the beauty all around, seeing nature, and seeing how nature works, and see how that works in cycles. And
Yeah.
instead of this kind of like what we are witnessing with the society at large, we have more and more consumption every year. And you know, it's just, if you look at the law of nature, that is never gonna work. You know, that's summer, and we're living in summer, 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 summer every year, without, you know, going into winter. And if we want to talk in those terms of cyclical, and as astrology is as well, like talking about cycles upon cycles upon cycles. um, and I think we need to come back to, and it's been this kind of break that we have been so blessed with this COVID as well. Like a lot of people can relax, breathe, and realign their lives, and maybe some people that aren't aligned, they just like are stressed the fuck out because they haven't, you know, paid attention to themselves in years or decades, maybe even. So
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
And it's I also wanted to talk to you about, because I just like looked up the chart for today. I haven't looked that much into astrology. I haven't been that paying that. I've been looking at the paleo report every week, as I always do. But for you are more into it, like every day with your forecast and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are at today with, I know we have a lot of retrogrades this summer, and also yeah, let's take it away, Michael. Where are we at, and what can we expect in the coming summer?
Okay. Well, I think there's so much going on, man. We could go.
Every day, man.
But the main thing I think for now, what you mentioned already was the Venus retrograde, right?
Mm,
That is happening until the end of June, uh, and you know, that brings up, like you already mentioned as well, karmic relationships, or just things from the past 8 years ago mainly, uh, that will be brought up and that you have to look back upon, and just relationships in general that you have to look back to and see, okay, well, how have I been doing? Is it true? You know, because Venus in Gemini, for me, it's a search for love, a search for a true love. Actually, there's a whole other, there's esoteric astrology too, soul directed astrology, and Venus rules Gemini in that, which is interesting.
mm-hmm.
You know, and it's more esoteric astrology, you know, looks at when we've evolved past the ego centeredness and really live according to the soul, right? um and that's where Venus rules Gemini. So this is true love, you know. My cat is going crazy here. Uh, but so she's affirming it. But um, but then we have, I would say the other most important aspect for now, for me at least, is the Jupiter Pluto conjunction, um, that is bringing so much intensity. Pluto in Capricorn at those last degrees is shifting. You know, Capricorn is that authority, is the business, is you know, everything in terms of the patriarchy, the father, the hard businessman status, and that is changing, right? Pluto is destroying all of it and is bringing new birth, and with
Mm,
Jupiter on that, it's just like making it so fucking intense and big, as you show, that in and of itself brings so much uncertainty to the world, that people are looking what, you know, it's set, Capricorn is an earth sign. So earth means groundedness, and Pluto destroys that. So there's like, where's the ground? Everybody's looking for stability and is looking for something. Like, where's truth? Where's truth? And the funny thing is, plus Uranus is in Taurus, and that is, you know, shaking even more things up. So there's no more grounding. There's no grounding. And so people are looking, stability, where is it? Where is it? And so now we got the nodal axis, which is our subconscious, but also things we have to let go and focus upon for our growth, is in the Gemini Sag axis. And that's the truth axis. So now people are looking for stability and looking for, where's truth here? And it's just like, no, there's no truth, motherfuckers. You just got to figure it out for yourself. And so that's what we're being, you know, thrown back on. And it's just like, it's intense. It is gnarly. But then, okay, so I'm going to put my cat outside because it's very annoying.
Yeah. Those who listen can just take a breather through all this instability and just watch Michael get his cat out of the way.
My cat is playing tricks on me.
Yeah, it's a Gemini.
Okay.
No, but
Anyway.
it's what you say, like with all of that, like there's, yeah, we have Pluto in Capricorn. It's been there since 2008, I think, as well. And especially now with Jupiter coming on there is also, you know, we see the mass unemployment. People are like, oh, my financial stability. Well, also Uranus and Taurus is also financial instability, or like very, you know, Uranus is this kind of great awakener and also this kind of mad professor at the same time in our earthly values. And it's everything is just tits up.
Yeah, man. And there's a thing coming, which is a solar eclipse on the 21st of June on the summer solstice, at the 0 degree of Cancer. And, you know, Cancer is our, where we feel safe and is our home and is where we nurture ourselves. So that event in of itself, solar eclipses, they just, you know, they're new moons on steroids. And so they will help people to take their homes, like their comfortableness, it's just like gone. You know, you have to, it's a wake-up call. And I think that's what's going to help people. So if you're still not listening to what the universe is trying to say, like, and what I mean by that is the whole thing that we just mentioned about Capricorn and Pluto and Saturn Pluto conjunction in 12th of January 2020, I've seen so many people around me that said, oh, you know, now I'm going to do what I really want to do. And it's just like, fucking thanks, nice. Yes. But for those people who are still not listening, how the fuck could you not be listening? They're going to have like with that solar eclipse, it's just going to be like, poof, smash in your face. You know, it's just like, so it's going to wake people more up. It's wake-up calls, wake-up call, wake-up call, wake-up call. And then, you know, even if you, right now, like Mars is in Pisces, right? And this is about the great surrender. Whenever Mars is in Pisces, Mars is our actions, how we go get what we want. And Pisces is just like confusion. It's just like, I love how Rick Levine says it. It's like going and try to look for the door, but in the dark. It's just like, where is it? Where is it? That's Mars in Pisces. But then, even when Mars comes into Aries, which will be in less than more a month or so, right? Somewhere around July. In 2 months, Mars in Aries, you think like, fuck yeah, let's go. You know, Mars likes Aries. It's just action.
It's home turf.
Home. What's that?
Home turf, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's going to go retrograde.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just like more Piscean feeling to it in that sense. So it's just like no more ego to it. No more go hustle, get it. It's just like, let go. And I'm telling people, you know, even Saturn, it came into Aquarius the moment the lockdown happened,
Yeah.
somewhere around end of March. And
Yes.
in Aquarius is society, Aquarius is people, Saturn is restrictions. So
Community as
we now
well.
know how Saturn in Aquarius is going to look like for the next 2 years.
Hmm.
But Saturn is going to come retrograde somewhere in July, I think it is. It comes into Capricorn, and then you're going to see, oh, let's go back to business as usual, because that's what Saturn in Capricorn is. But it's just like, fuck no. Don't even think about it, you know? As a matter of fact, in December, Saturn is going to come back in Aquarius, and that's where I know the lockdown is going to get back for sure.
Hmm.
So there's just like, yes, maybe for 6 months, people will be able to pull off to go back to business as usual, even if Mars is retrograde, right? Which is a call for calm the fuck down. Um, it is just showing so much, calm down. Don't, go hustle. Don't put ego in it, until you get the fucking message. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, yeah, I've never looked at it this way, but it's, yeah, I can agree on so many points in this, and it's going to be interesting how it pans out if your reading of the stars will come true. And it's what reminds me as well is that's kind of why I want to do more of the podcast episode, because that's been something that I've not been doing my full attention to, and I know that I enjoy, and that I enjoy having these kind of conversations and rethinking my own life. What do I really want to do? Because I'm one of the people who's also been laid off, and I don't have a salary right now, actually. And it's interesting, as well, for people in that kind of situation where they maybe have been doing stuff that, let's say I've been doing stuff that I've been really enjoying the last year, but let's say if you haven't and been enjoying what you've been doing, and had the narrative from your family or your peers like, this is what you should do, this is the safest way, this is the route to that will make you happy, and will be the safe thing to do. And then, yeah, you have the all the conjunctions, and then you have just the rug is just pulled straight out of you from underneath your feet, and then you're like, okay, so the safe way that everybody said that I should be taking is not serving me right now. So then I just might, like, this could be the greatest gift for people to realize, then I fuck it, then I rather do fuck up reaching for my dream than doing some bullshit job that I thought was gonna keep me safe and in my comfort and underneath the blanket and keep me warm, and so I can just go home and numb myself in front of Netflix and or whatever. So it can be a very powerful alchemical time, if we use it in that kind of way.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's the universe is really, showing us, like, can you trust fully in that there is abundance, that whatever I provide, that I have it in, millions and billions available for you. And that's where I think too, one, astrology can show you that, and two, kundalini yoga allows you to create that space and trust, surrender, and really go with the flow more. And the more you do that, man, it's crazy. Just 2 years ago, I moved here to Antwerp, and it was like, it's a city, and I'm not used to cities. But I said, I know I should be doing, I feel like I should do that. I feel it in my gut. And from there on, it was like everything bursted open. But what's even more is, I was living past year, I lived in an apartment, amazing space. But then I manifested all of a sudden my soulmate. And then with my soulmate, we attracted this huge house that we live in right now. that has just so much space, that gives us so much creativity, and I could never imagine. But it's like that I would be living in this with a community and all those things. It's like we have everything we want, and it's just because, you know, just like you feel like you need to do something, and you do it, and you get rewarded, and it's just like Joe Dispenza says, it's living in a world of in the now, and the now is the only it's like an uncertain world, but that's where potential exists, that's where creation exists, because if you're living in the past, you create more of what you already have been doing, and why would you recreate the past? And if you live too much in the future, just like it's a predictable future. So if you can just live in the now, it's a very uncertain world, but that's where creation happens. That's where potential lies. And that's why that neutrality is so important, because, you know, whatever happens, you always need to know that you're going to judge things, and your judgments always have a color. And that's why pain or fear is so painful or so fearful, because you color it with your experience from before,
Yes.
or what you project on the future. And so if you can just, you know that all these things come, and that yes, you color them, but you take like a step back, and you say, like, it's okay to feel fear at this very moment. I know this is going to pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that we've come up to as well, is the fear of the inevitable death, that we as humans, we live in this consume, like, I'm gonna just take as much as I can because I don't know, how long I will last in this life. Like, I will not leave anything behind. I will take all the toilet paper. I will take all the food. Like, the fear of dying and the inevitable, like, death that, you know, it's always behind us. It's always like knocking here, hello, hello, and making us aware of that we are going to die, that we are fragile, that we can die of, like, uncertain events. But what I see as well at large is that fear of death is becoming so immensely big that we forget how to live.
Yeah.
That we stop seeing each other, that we are so afraid of what the world really needs is true community and connection. And what you
Mhm.
see now is like people wearing masks and being afraid of even touching each other and hugging each other. Like, I I would hate to see a world like that, like, persist.
Yeah. What I'm really learning and realizing more and more is that this physical body is just, I got realized this morning, and I haven't even shared this out loud, so I'm not sure if this is going to make sense. But my thought process of this morning was, okay, I feel when I look at the sun, I experience the sun, I see the sun, and when I feel something inside my body, right, I know it's there too. So would why would the sun, right? And so the fact that I experience the sun means that it's part of me.
Mm.
Because this is distance, like, as in I feel something in my hand, or I see my hand, but it's just like, why would that be separate from the sun? Where do I draw the line? Where do I, say this is me and this is something else?
Mm.
Because I can experience both, but the fact that it's closer to me doesn't mean that there is a limit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, we're like, we are awareness, and this physical body is just very limited.
Mm.
It's just a blink of an eye and it's over, but our eternal part of ourselves continues. And I think our purpose here is to remember that we are that infinite. And the more you can train yourself, and Kundalini yoga does it for me, but also besides the Kundalini yoga, I've been doing the Course in Miracles. too, and I'm at day 302 or something. And that too just has broadened my mind so much to we're infinite space. We are like, that's literally what we are. We are space, we are awareness. And this awareness is experiencing itself through me, and what I see in you is just myself re you know informing myself. Does that
Mm.
make sense? Like, we're constantly, consciousness is informing itself constantly in different ways, but we're all connected. We're all one space, one awareness, one.
Yes. Yeah, well, like we all affect each other in what you were alluding to, and also what you said, like before your Saturn return, this kind of, you saw a lack of authenticity in the world, but what you probably saw was a lack of authenticity that you
Yourself.
had towards yourself, that you were not living your truth, and therefore that manifested itself in the outer external world. And
Mhm.
it's also interesting to see how our bodies are just like a microcosm of like the macrocosm that we have up in the stars and in space, and that the sun, like that's why the sun and the moon is connected, like moon is connected to emotion, sun is purpose, and how it's just a broader like extension of ourselves in a way. But it can be hard to fathom, and how hard to like, and you don't have to even subscribe to this belief if you don't want to, if you listen to this, but it's an interesting concept to think about. And if we think that, then also this whole connection that was also what I was talking about, like we have lost the lack, we are lacking the connection to nature, and our where we truly come from this earth, from this mother earth, and that we are just, an extension of that, and that we are taking more than we are giving back right now as well.
Mm.
And that's also why you see people stressed, sick, and depressed, and suicide rates are up off the charts, and because we're not living in tune to how we should be living.
Yep, big time.
Yeah.
Mm.
um yeah, man. ah Um, I don't have that much more questions actually. Do you have anything that you want to talk about, or that you want to touch on that we have not touched on, or where are you at right now?
uh Beers, sex, and rock and roll. No, we haven't talked about that yet. No,
No.
my addiction to porn. No, just kidding. I have zero addiction. As a matter of fact, talking about porn, that is actually something I used to watch, I think 3 years ago. But the moment I decided, and that was actually, it ties together with the kundalini yoga.
Mm,
That's where I said, I'm just not gonna watch it, because you can get caught up in watching porn, for instance, especially as a man.
mm,
There's just like, it's just so easy to be behind that screen and just like, just masturbate yourself to the amazing images you see on the screen. And when you're in that, it looks like it's normal. It looks like it's, of course, this is reality, right? But then you take a step back from it, and it's just so unhealthy when you
mm,
look back to it. It's just like, how the fuck could I have been, you know, just masturbating myself for freaking whatever, 10, 15 years? I don't know how long it was. Um, and that just shows too that whatever choice you make, and wherever you think you are, there's always so much more behind it. There's another world that could open up to you. There's one perspective you have, but what about all the other millions of perspectives?
mm.
That's important to realize. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also another, fabricated way that our day and age has created to have a sense of connection to something, or like, that you also have these people that buy these dolls or sex dolls because they don't have the social skills to go out, nor are afraid of that. And also what we see, there's also like this new emoji on Facebook that is like this caring, oh, I care for you, this kind of new emoticon that you can use. It's just bullshit for me, because it's just trying to fabricate something that's supposed to be true, a real hug, or like seeing somebody in the eyes and going in the deep
Yeah.
end and really connecting deeper with somebody else, instead of sitting home and jacking off in front of porn. And I agree with you as well. Like, I have also had my struggles with like quitting porn, or like, is porn good or bad? And for me, I think it's in the long run, it's not. It's better to meet real people and to find that
Flesh,
connection.
if you know what I mean.
What did you say?
That in the flesh, if you know what I mean.
In the flesh, exactly.
Mm.
And that we are in this so much in this civilized world, is just we're creating bad ripoffs of what it could be, or like
Yeah.
what life could be, when it comes to fast food, porn, video games. So like, you have so many, also a lot of young men, just instead of building a character in life, they build a character online, because like they get so
Yeah.
much dopamine and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's also very interesting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
Cool.
so how does one stay strong in these times, Michael?
Well, it's very easy. You know, you have to realize that you have a choice, and that's all there is to it. And then, what choice are you making? How healthy is that choice? I like to make an analogy or a metaphor always with, when you're born, you get like this big lake, and the lake is pure water. But then you always have there's two streams. There's a stream of waste and dirt, and then there's a stream of a more clean water. So, but you as the vigilante of the lake, you get to decide what you let in.
Mm.
And so, are you gonna let that tube of waste come in? And you have to decide for yourself, what is waste? Well, I mean, if you just look, how healthy is it to, for instance, if we take something normal like French fries and chicken nuggets and Domino's pizza, how healthy is that? Well, I mean, how do you feel after a couple of days of eating that? Well, not good. Well, maybe I should make that decision. Then, the news, the people, how all these opinions, is that helping me? Because no, right? So fucking let that out. At the other side is like, okay, what makes me happy? What makes me healthy? It's just so simple, but it's at the same time so difficult, because it's so easy to get caught up in the world. So to take ownership again of your own choices, and to look back and see, like, okay, what makes me happy? What makes me healthy? What makes me holy? Right? And I think it's just all the basics. What people are you surrounding yourself with? Even more than ever in these times, right? More than ever. Are these people thinking healthy? And you have to make a decision that, they get caught up in, but it's my best friend, and it's just always making this dialogue. Well, it's just like, doesn't matter, man. Now it shows what true nature people have in these times. You really get to see how true they are. And so you have to make some important decisions for you right now, because I think we just entered this new world. And as I said, this is a world where you create your own reality more than ever. And whatever is your reality is true. So I think we do, when you do go outside, I mean, respect that people have other opinions, and if they don't want to come close to you, that's fine. If they want you to put on a mask, you still can decide to get away from there, or respect it. I am more of the person that would say, well, I'm out of here. Like I'm not gonna wear a mask. I don't believe in it. But if you're in a space like you really have to do it, well then just for a moment put your ego aside and put it on. No discussions, no confrontations, no war in a sense. And it's so cheesy and in a way, but it's just like peace and love, and that's it. It's just so simple. It's just so simple. Yeah.
It is. In a lot of ways it is, but it's easy to get caught up. But I think with those words, Michael, I think we've reached the end. I think we will end it at peace and love. I think that's a perfect way to top it off. Really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that you guys who have tuned in or maybe watched this also have enjoyed this powerful conversation with the Leo mystic himself, Michael van den Mosse. Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, yes, of course.
Especially when you take off your clothes and sit there in your tank top.
Yes.
Sexy.
These guns.
You've been working out, bro.
I have. But thank you, man. And maybe we can have a conversation soon again, maybe on this platform. We'll see. Yeah. But take care.
Take care for you, man. Take care.